Hi everybody, this is Darcy with Scrappy Camper Sisters, and this is day 4, Tales from Tuscany. And today our mini is called the Triple Flip Mini, and it's because it's made of basically 3 pages. When you open it, I was going to show you the one I already made so that you can see what I'm talking about. And it's this one here. It's made out of cardstock because we want to mix it up a little bit. So the reason I called it that was because you take the pages and they come out like this. So you've got 3 sections. And then there's a page, and then 3 sections, and then there's a page in the back. So it's got a lot of real estate. Page here. And then there's 2 photo mats in the little pocket. Here and here. And then the whole thing just folds up and ties with, in this case, some baker's twine. Like that. So that's what we're making. So the first thing you want to do is take a piece of cardstock. I have that Coordinations cardstock that you sand. I really like it for this. It looks a little bit vintage, and I've sanded it. And then you're going to use a piece of 8.5 by 11. So cut it down to 8.5 by 11. And then what you're going to do is you're going to score it on the long sides. So I guess it's easier to show you here. You're going to score it here and here, and you're going to do that at 2 and at 6.5. And then you're going to fold those in. And then on the top, this way, you're going to score at 2.25 and 2.5 to get 2 lines here for a 1/4 inch gusset. And then at some point, you'll be scoring at 6.25, and this is what will make it fold in half. Okay? So I've already gotten started, and then once that's done, what you're going to do is cut the square down from your 2 score lines from the top down to that second score line that makes up the gusset and across. Cut those out. And then you're going to fold these down to the first line to make a point, and this is what we're going to use to make our flap. Okay? So to make the journal, you're going to take 2 pieces of 4 by 12 pattern paper. I like the double-sided, so easy, right? And you're going to stack them so that they overlap like this. Okay? And that's what gives you your separate pages and your flaps. So you're just going to overlap the first 2 squares with the second 2 squares here. Okay? Then what you're going to do is fold it all up, fold it in thirds, and you're going to come over to your cover and come where your fold is in the middle and mark where you want to punch your holes. So where you're going to punch your holes, I did mine a little bit wider, but I would suggest actually doing them, this whole thing is 4.5, so I would do them like 3 inches apart, and I would center it and just do 3 inches apart right here and here. And I would just use an awl. I wouldn't try to do anything too fancy. So I have my little pokey tool in here. So you just measure it. So you're going to poke a hole here. You can mark it. You don't have to actually poke the hole if you don't want. You can mark it, mark it, mark it, mark it, and that's where your holes are going to go. So once that's done, you make sure that both of them have the holes. And when you mark your holes and you do your holes, do not go through to the back. You're only putting the holes for your binding in these 2 side flaps. And that's so that the binding doesn't show from the outside. It's kind of a hidden binding. Okay? So go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to use some twine. I'm going to fold it up. I think it's easier. Thread it through. And I'm doing it so that it's tied on the inside because it would be a little tough to tie it under those flaps. Thread it through that flap into the hole. I put a little bit of glossy accents on the end of my twine too. Here, I don't need to have the scoreboard here. So I've got it through my 2 pages, my 2 thicknesses. I've threaded it through. So now it looks like this. And I'm going to come through the back, come right through the back flap, into the front, and then into the holes of my 2 pages. Okay. And I'm going to tie that really tightly. I'm looking at this thing. That's kind of a pain, isn't it? You can't really see what I'm doing. I'm going to tie this in a knot. There, split it so you can see what's going on. You can put a little dot of glue on the knot if you want to. But we're just going to make a little signature and cut it. And there we go. So there's our little book. Ta-da! Now what we'll do is we'll affix this and get our button on here. So I just folded it down. I like this little bit thicker flap, so I folded it down to form a triangle, and I'm going to glue it. Back on. Okay. And then while that's drying, because we're going to put a button on here, we can do the photo mats, which will sit in these 2 pockets. So what I did was I cut 2 photo mats, and I put some pattern paper on the other side, and I'll give you the measurements. They are 4 by, looks like 4 1/8. Gotta love those 8s. Why do I do that to myself, right? Yep, 4 by 4 1/8. So, and they slide right in. And they slide in on the little slightly narrower side, but I imagine it wouldn't matter. There's plenty of room in there. So they just tuck right in, and I really like how that pattern shows through. Looks cool. Okay, so now this is done. So we're going to take a button and we're going to create our tie. See, and then the whole thing will just come up like this. Maybe I didn't do it the right way. So that way. There we go. Let's do it the short way. So it's just going to come up like that. And it's done. So we're going to go ahead and put the button here. And all I'm going to do for that is take my crocodile and just eyeball it. Kind of in the middle of the flap. I think that's one of my photo mats. I'll just put it right in the center. That little guy's back in here. And then I have my button I'm going to place there, and I'm going to glue it. I have a pretty kind of a vintage looking button. So I'm going to take this, I already tied a knot and attached it to the button, and I'm going to put it through the hole. See if I should. I really don't want to put it, I don't want to put it through the hole because I want it, it needs to be on the outside to tie. Never mind. Let's get some glossy accent. Really good wad of glue on here. And that's just so the shank has some place to go. That's why I punched the hole. And then I'll also put some in here just to kind of hold that twine. Okay, so we're going to let that dry. And then what you're going to want to do while that's drying is we're going to plan on covering where the shank is. So I have a little piece of paper that I'm going to use, and I'm going to just attach it here. And this isn't really stuck down yet, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But I'll do some of it. So what I'll do is I will put my little decoration on it. I just put a little banner, just a little collage banner. And this just hides the little bump that's going to be made by that button. And I'm going to trim it. So I'm not going to stick this down really well. I'm going to just, I'll put the glue on, but I'm not going to press down really hard because I don't want to push the button back out. But we'll get it down. We'll get it on there. And if you want it kind of partially out anyway, because you want to be able to wrap your twine around it. So we're not going to totally push it in. We're just going to leave it partially in. Cool. Actually, it looks good. Looks good right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this all dry. Trim it. Because you don't want to see that. From this side. That's going to look really pretty. So the button will be covered in the back with our little collage piece, and will be attached there. And then when it's folded up, go like this, and go like this. And like I said, I don't want to mess with it too much because it's still wet, but just to give you an idea what it's going to look like. wrap it around. I think my plan was just to wrap it twice. It'll go around the button and that will be it. So that is the triple flip. And that is day 4. Yay! Tales from Tuscany. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.